Okay, in this video we will look at the example of the Habitat for Humanity organization's cost allocation, and we're going to use step-down method. And these are the same organization or cost centers that we used in class. Here, let me highlight the support centers just to keep things separate. Now, the first thing we want to do is decide which cost center to rank order first. I want to point out that how I would think. Let me kind of give you an example of how I'd think about this. I would say, okay, here's this. Let's if I'm going to use FTE to allocate out the general admin, I want to look and see where my FTEs fall. I have 3 FTEs in development, 4 in construction, 10 in the restore, and 3 in revitalization. And so the vast majority of my FTEs fall in my mission centers. And so I'm thinking that the support that the general admin provides for development is, while there is some support that needs to be provided to development, it's not a major part of general admin's day-to-day concern. Now, in the other hand, for development and grants, if we say in this cost center, this cost center provides most of its donation support are for general admin. So a lot of what development is doing is supporting, if this allocation basis is a good allocation basis, donation dollars, then a lot of the time is spent working for development is spending working for general admin. So it makes sense from this perspective to go with development as the first rank, because a lot of their activity is really first going to general admin, and we'd rather use general admin's relative proportions to allocate out that share of the cost down to the rest of the mission centers. And so let's just start from there. So we'll start with we'll start with development, and then we'll go to general admin. And since I have that typed out, I'll just paste it in here while I have the information all outlined. Okay. So now from development, what we're going to see is that the information that will be relevant is how much support it provides for general admin, as well as, or how much of the activity happens in general admin, as well as the other, the mission centers. And then for, but we're never going to allocate development money back to itself, and so we're just ignore that idea of the $100 of development donation. So let's sum that so that we know how much. This is all the direct costs outside of, this is all of the donation activity outside of development itself. Then for general admin, since it's second, not in the rank order, none of the money will be allocated back to development, so we don't need to recognize the 3 FTEs here. So let me get rid of the $sign here. And I'll just sum. Now, one of the things that I've learned over the years is that it really helps to uh, to fix the order here, so that we start with whichever one of the support centers is the first in rank. We want to have them listed first. It'll just keep us from making mistakes later on. It's entirely possible to do it without restructuring the costs information and the relative order of the cost centers, but we want to keep, I think, that order as best as possible. So in development, development is going to send 300,000 of the 475,000, the proportion. So it's going to send 63% of its direct costs first over to general admin, and then construction will get this 25%. Now if we sum this, should go to 100. Okay, so we're taking all of the money from development, we're allocating 100% of it out, and we're sending 63% to general admin, 25% to construction, 10% to revitalization, and 1% to 10% to restore, and 1% to revitalization. And we're using that process because our allocation basis is donations, and general admin has 63% of the donation dollars outside of the development cost center, and construction is 25%, and so on. Now, once we get to the second rank order in general admin, all the money is gone from development, and it's not going back. And so to send the money down out of general admin to the mission centers, all we need to do is recognize those same proportions that were relevant when we did the direct cost allocation method. Okay, so this is the percentages of development's direct costs that will go to these other cost centers, and these are the percentages of the money that is in general admin, both its original direct costs as well as the portion that was allocated to it that will go to the mission centers. So let's start again with development, and we'll just say we're going to subtract out the $120,000 from the development, and we're sending it down to, or sending it out to the other cost centers, all of the other cost centers. So we'll take this 120,000, lock it in, and we'll come up here to this, these percentages. 63% of the 120,000 will go to general admin, 30,000 going to construction, 12,000 going to the restore, and 1.2 thousand going to the revitalization. So if I sum this column, it should go to 0 because I've taken the full 120,000 and allocated it out. Then, now, what we need to do is allocate over to the from the general admin to the mission centers. And in this case, what the we have to take the sum of these two numbers, the original direct cost portion, as well as what has been allocated to general admin from the first stage. And so I'll just take that as a negative with the -1 to show it's going to be subtracted out. And then usually when I do this, well, okay, so we'll just we'll use the same process here. Lock that in and multiply by this percent. So I'm taking the sum of general admin's original direct cost and it's the amount that gets allocated to general admin in the first step of the cost allocation and multiplying it by 23 to send 23% of that sum down to or out to construction and 58% of it over to the restore and revitalization gets 17% of it. So if I sum this, and by doing this sum, you're going to be able to check and find an error that maybe you forgot to add these two together. Now, again, we'll call this indirect costs and full costs. And we'll sum here across those two allocations to see how much indirect cost is now associated with each of these three mission centers. And if we take the sum of that, that'll give us the sum of our indirect costs. And then our full costs are our indirect costs and our direct costs. So we will recognize those values. And we'll take the sum, and they should be the same as the sum of the total direct costs, and they are. So we still have all the same total costs in our organization, but we've just allocated all of the support center costs down to the mission centers.